we still got a number of people joining us, trickling in. Probably give a couple more minutes before I start because there's quite a number of people still joining us.
Hi Jai.
Hello. Welcome everyone. We are admitting some more people. We will start in about a minute or so. Please bear with us. Thank you for joining our Credentialing Simplified by ICF Malaysia. Today we have Aileen Gordon, our Director of Operations of ICF Credentials and Standards, who will be sharing with us lots and lots and lots of information with regards to the ICF exam. And I'm sure all of you has got lots of questions. We will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. Okay, so it's 8:33 here in Malaysia. Thank you all for joining and welcome everyone. We have got registrations from 15 countries all over the globe, and we are honored to be hosting this Credentialing Simplified session for not just the ICF Malaysia and ICF members in general, but also to non-ICF members who are aspiring to be taking the ICF credentials hopefully soon. So before we start, I'll go with the housekeeping announcements. Firstly, before we begin, please turn off any distractions and if possible, find a quiet place for you to immerse yourself and be present in our session today. You can check your internet connection, make sure it's super fast. Check your audio and your earphones. Please mute your Zoom microphone at all times unless you need to speak during the Q&A and breakout sessions. We don't have any breakout sessions today. Please turn on your Zoom video at all times for more engagement unless you've got intermittent internet connection. And please use your chat box, the chat box for questions. If you have in between during the presentations, we'll pick it up and address your questions at the end of the presentation. And we'll be also taking on live questions from everyone at the end of Eileen's presentation. Next slide, please, Keel. With regards to the recording link, we would be 14 days following the conclusion of the webinar. This is archived in the ICF Malaysia members portal, and you can log in to your members account to view the recordings in the My Knowledge section. This is for ICF Malaysia members. And with regards to the CCE certificate policy, attendance is for the entire live session. Partial CCE is not available. Attendance will be verified via the Zoom system and certificates will be issued to you within 14 days after the conclusion of the session and after the attendance have been verified. ICF Malaysia members, you can obtain the CCE certificates from the ICF Malaysia website dashboard. And for non-ICF Malaysian members who are joining today, the certificates will be issued to you via email. So, as we move on, I have the honor of introducing to you our speaker for today. Aileen Gordon joined the International Coaching Federation in May of 2020 with Credentials and Standards as a credentialing support coordinator and in 2023 accepted the position of Credentials and Standards Director of Operations. This role oversees the credentialing team and the processing of credential applications. Aileen has 25 plus years experience working in non-profit associations, which has given her valuable experience with the administration of volunteer-driven organizations. Aileen lives in Georgetown, Kentucky, USA, and as we found out from her, snow is slowly going away. There's no snowstorm. We were having conversations with her in preparation for our session today, and she had a couple of snowstorms. So don't know whether that's good or bad, but at some point her hobby was, not hobby lah, but probably something that she had to do was actually to shovel the snows out of her driveway. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Aileen Gordon. Ladies and gentlemen, Aileen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much for hosting me. And I am very glad that the snow is going away. It might pop back up, but right now spring is trying to make its way into Kentucky. So always look forward to spring coming. So thank you for hosting me again. I know it's going to be a big topic. We are going to touch base on some of the differences or specifics about each exam. We have 3 exams, but a lot of the information that we're going to share is common to all of the exams. So we are going to kind of cover how the exam is set up, and then kind of look at the process for the exam, and then also some specifics on each exam. So hopefully you guys will start to feel really comfortable with what to be expecting and resources that you can utilize. And I do believe I'm going to send this as a PDF. There's a lot of links in the presentation that you're going to see. So I believe that's going to be made available to you. Is that correct? Okay. So then you'll be able to click on those links and get to the information that is specific on those slides that it's directing you to. So I want to make sure that you were aware of that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get set up, and we will get started. Okay. So thank you to the ICF Malaysian chapter for holding this presentation on the ICF exams. Taking an exam can seem intimidating, but I hope through this presentation, I will help you feel more comfortable and prepared for the exam and confident in what to expect. To begin, it is important to know that all ICF exams for a credential are offered in a proctored format. ICF Credentials and Standards is committed to rigor in standards for the credential holders and also for us in the way that we deliver credentialing services. Standards for certification bodies require secure testing. So what does proctored testing provide? It assures fairness for candidates in the examination process, that the process does not allow some, even a small number, to have an unfair advantage at the test content than others. It preserves the integrity of the exam, but more importantly, it preserves the integrity and the value of the credential for those who work so hard to earn them. As you can see, the development of a high caliber exam is a very involved process. And coaches from across the globe are involved in all stages of the process, from inception through translation, and all points in between. ICF exams are for coaches, created by coaches. Let's take a quick look at each exam, review the content and structure, and then we'll spend some time covering how to best prepare for the exams and what the process will look like. The ICF ACC exam was launched in late 2024, and it is designed for ACC candidates at this stage of their career and assesses candidates' knowledge of coaching. For the ACC exam, candidates are provided with 90 minutes to take the exam, with a 10-minute break halfway through. There are 60 multiple choice questions, and there's only one correct response to each answer. The questions on the exam are knowledge-based. And finally, the ACC exam is offered in 16 languages. The ACC exam covers 3 broad domains: coaching ethics, definition and boundaries of coaching, and coaching competencies, strategies, and techniques. Here's a sample question for us to review. Which of the following represents the most important purpose of silence in coaching? A, to allow a client to process their thoughts. B, to enable the coach and client to hear one another. C, to provide the coach time to think of their next question. Or D, to provide the client time to think of the right response to the coach's question. The correct answer, A, to allow a client to process their thoughts. Candidates at the PCC and MCC level are required to pass the ICF Credentialing exam. This exam assesses knowledge and ability to apply the following in practice: the ICF core competencies, ICF code of ethics, and the ICF definition of coaching. The ICF Credentialing exam is a situational judgment exam. Let's take a closer look at what that means. Coaching as a practice requires professionals to be able to make challenging judgments in the moment to best serve their clients. A situational judgment test provides a manner in which to test an individual's knowledge, abilities, and skills in a coaching context. It will present the test taker with a realistic situation and a selection of options that are plausible, yet not all equally effective ways of handling the situation. A situational judgment test is more nuanced than a simple right-wrong test question. Candidates are provided with 3 hours to complete the exam. It's delivered in 2 sections with an optional 10-minute break midway. The ICF Credentialing exam consists of 78 scenario-based items, followed by 4 possible responses. Candidates select the best response and the worst response of the 4 options presented. There is only 1 correct best response and 1 correct worst response for each coaching scenario. Although more than 1 response may represent a reasonable response to the scenario presented, candidates will receive credit only for selecting the best possible action or the worst possible action. The ICF Credentialing exam covers 4 domains of coaching knowledge: foundation, co-creating the relationship, communicating effectively, and cultivating learning and growth. You can see immediately that this sample item, in comparison to the ACC sample question, has a lot more information that needs to be processed. So let's go ahead and go through this together. A university biomedical researcher is working with a coach to improve their interactions with colleagues. The client is a very analytical thinker and can easily explain detailed data points and complex graphs, but seems reluctant to share anything personal with the coach. In previous sessions, the coach encouraged the client to describe how they felt at social events, but the client seems highly uncomfortable, answering only with short, one-word responses. When the client arrives to their session today, the client silently hands the coach a journal. The client has written several detailed entries over the last week about their experience attending a university luncheon, a faculty party, and a staff development workshop since their last session. While the client says little to the coach in the moment, their entries show deep reflections about the anxiety the client experienced at these events and their desire to overcome social anxiety. What should the coach do? A, acknowledge the reflection work the client has done and ask the client if they feel comfortable exploring some of the emotions they described in their journal. B, Ask the client if they would summarize the entries they detailed in their journal for the coach. C, ask the client to identify some steps they can take to overcome the anxieties they wrote about. And D, ask the client what new awareness they developed about themselves through the journaling process. And I'll give you just a moment to think about that. So based only on the information provided in the scenario and based on the core competencies, the correct best answer is A, acknowledge the reflection work the client has done and ask the client if they feel comfortable exploring some of the emotions they described in the journal. And in this scenario, the worst action would be C, ask the client to identify some steps they can take to overcome the anxieties they wrote about. For those that hold a current ACC, PCC, or MCC and work with teams, you can consider obtaining the ICF Advanced Certification for Team Coaching. Those applying for the ACTC will need to pass the ICF Team Coaching Certification exam. This exam is designed to assess candidates' knowledge and ability to apply the ICF team coaching and core competencies in team coaching contexts. The ICF Team Coaching Certification exam is a combination of knowledge and situational judgment items. Candidates are provided with 2.5 hours to complete the team coaching exam. It is delivered in 2 sections with an optional 10-minute break midway. The ICF credentialing exam consists of 62 items total. And in each section of the exam, there will be both knowledge and scenario-based items. Currently, the team coaching exam is offered in 3 languages. The ICF Team Coaching Certification exam covers 4 domains of coaching knowledge: foundation, co-creating the relationship, communicating effectively, and cultivating learning and growth. As with any exam, we know that one of the biggest questions is how to prepare and what to expect in the testing process. To prepare for any of the ICF exams, the best resource is your education and experience. Your education was founded on the ICF core competencies, and through your experience, you have applied your education. You can spend time reflecting on the mentor coaching you received, along with common coaching situations and how coaches react to them. Give thought to what the core competencies look like when demonstrated in coaching, and what coaching looks like when they are not demonstrated by a coach. As you look to prepare in earnest for the exam, here are some resources available to you. On the core competencies page of our website, you can access the ICF core competencies in a multitude of different languages. You will also find links to a video series done on the core competencies and a video overview of when the core competencies were updated. On the ethics page of our website, you will find the ICF Code of Ethics. Along with reviewing the code, you can also access the ICF Code of Ethics video series and a link to the Insights and Considerations for Ethics. The Insights and Considerations provide support to understanding each of the standards found in the Code of Ethics. In addition, you can also review the ICF white paper on referring a client to therapy. Be sure to check out the sample questions for any of the exams that you are preparing for. And we now have available for each exam, you can find a tutorial on the Pearson VUE website where you can experience the exam environment and learn how to navigate in the system. In the tutorial, you will walk through how to navigate the exam, use the tools that are available, such as zooming in and out, hiding or showing the time remaining, how to flag and review items, and how to monitor your progress. You will also be able to answer the sample questions, experience the break, and learn how to request assistance during the exam and how to end your exam. You can go through this tutorial as often as you like. One of the biggest areas that gives candidates concern is on what to expect in the testing process. So let's walk through the steps from start to finish. The process for the exam begins with your application for a credential. In the application, there is an exam section, and in that section, you will need to enter your legal first and last name as it shows on the identification you plan to use to check in on exam day. If the name entered does not match, then you will not be able to take the exam that day. In addition, if you need to request an accommodation, you will indicate that in the application so that instructions can be sent to you on how to submit the request. Once your application has been submitted, you can turn your attention to the next steps. First, if you request an accommodation, complete the paperwork and submit it as directed with any needed documentation. And if you need any language support, you will complete that request form and submit it as well. Second, do the research to find a testing center in your area so you can plan accordingly for the time that will be involved. If a testing center is not easily accessible, you can consider taking the exam online through Pearson VUE OnView. We will cover some considerations for taking the exam online in just a bit. And finally, once you receive your email notice from ICF that you've been authorized to take the exam, you will schedule your exam. Detailed information on how to schedule the exam will be included in the authorization email. Before exam day, you are going to make sure that you have your identification in hand for the check-in. Take time to review the FAQs available so you are prepared to handle anything that happens during the process. If testing at a test center, you can review the What to Expect video. If testing online, there are a multitude of resources to review to ensure you are ready. In addition, make sure you've run a systems check to test your computer and internet for compatibility. On exam day, be well rested and have a snack or meal prior to the exam so you can focus on the exam fully when taking it. If traveling to a test center, allow for plenty of time for potential traffic issues. Or if taking online, take time well before the exam to ensure your testing space is in compliance with all rules and policies. Make sure you have your identifications for the check-in process. Check in 30 minutes prior to your scheduled exam time. Read all test instructions and rules thoroughly so you can feel confident in proceeding with the exam properly. Take your time. In each section of the test, you can flag questions that you would like to return to for review. But do note, questions flagged in section 1 of the exam must be reviewed and final responses selected prior to that section closing for the 10-minute break. We also recognize that delivery of an exam through online live proctoring may be a new and different experience. Live remote proctoring in general is a fairly new service that has evolved nearly overnight with the COVID-19 pandemic. While it offers candidates the opportunity to complete an ICF exam from their home, it is really important for candidates to be aware of the technical requirements for an online proctored exam and to prepare for their exam appointment in advance. There's a link on this slide, a guide from Pearson VUE, which will walk through each stage of the remote proctoring testing process, including preparations that are critical to complete prior to the appointment, as well as what to expect during the exam appointment. There are so many dynamics and factors that play when testing from home, from software applications on the candidate system to connectivity issues that could impact the exam delivery. And even when all preparations are taken in advance, there are still factors that could impact the exam experience. This guide also provides candidates with information on how to contact Pearson VUE should something arise during their exam experience. And ICF Credentials and Standards is also here to support candidates who experience issues with their online exam. For these reasons, many candidates choose to complete the exam in a test center, where the unique technical challenges of online testing are not a factor. We partner with Pearson VUE in part because they are among the few testing vendors that provide global testing services with centers available around the world. If you have trouble locating a test center, feel free to reach out to us at support@coachingfederation.org. We can always work with Pearson to identify and locate a third-party test center to support you. Let's take a moment to cover how the exam is scored, the pass rate, and what your options are if you do not pass the exam. All ICF exam passing scores are developed in alignment with best practices for certification programs. Your score is determined by the correct answers you choose, and you are not penalized for wrong answers. The passing score for all exams are reported on scaled scores. The range of possible scores is 200 to 600, with a passing score of 460. You can find the pass rates for our exams on our website on their individual exam information pages. These are updated yearly. For the ACC exam, we do have some preliminary numbers from 2024 to share. For the ACC exam, you can see that there is an 82% pass rate on the first attempt of the exam. And when factoring in those who take and pass the exam on a subsequent attempt, it rises to 85%. As these numbers are taking in only for the first month and a half when the exam was available in 2024, the total pass rate is expected to increase. For the ICF credentialing exam in 2023, we have a 75% pass rate on the first attempt, with a total pass rate of 87% when you factor in those that pass the exam on a retake. And for the team coaching exam in 2023, we have a 91% pass rate for the first attempt, with a total pass rate of 98%. The 2024 exam pass rates will be available on the website in the very near future. If you do not pass the exam on the first attempt, you may retake the exam. Each exam retake is a fee of $105 US. You may retake the exam for the first time 14 days after your first attempt. If you do not pass on your first retake of the exam, then you must wait 30 days before you may take it again. This time is provided so that you have the opportunity to reflect on your exam experiences and continuing your studies. You may retake the exam up to 6 times within a year of when you initially sat for the exam. After a year, you will have another 6 attempts. This is very rare, but I share it so that you know there is a policy in place to be able to support you. Thank you for listening to this presentation on the ICF exams. I hope you feel more confident in the steps that are involved and how you can prepare for a successful exam experience. If you find you have additional questions after this webinar, or you need support in completing your application for an ICF credential, or have a question on the process or any of the requirements, please do not hesitate to reach out to the ICF support team. You may access the ICF support team through the Contact Us page found on the footer of any of our web pages, or on various Credentials and Standards pages at the bottom. There's typically a section where you may access the page. The support page includes FAQs on various ICF subjects, including credentialing. In the credentialing section, you will find a variety of topics with questions and answers. If you're not able to find your answer or need additional clarification, you will also find a support form that you can complete and submit to the support team. Now that we've covered a large range of information on the exams, I'm happy to take any questions and offer any clarifications that I can for you.
Thank you, Aileen, for very informative presentation and information to all of us. We now open the floor for questions. You can either unmute yourself and you may ask the questions directly to Aileen, or you may also type your questions in the chat and we'll pick it up from there for Aileen to address any of your questions.
Hi, Aileen. I'm Chipan. Just call me CP. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was looking for your,
okay.
but it wasn't showing on the screen for me to actually see you. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, I just want to ask, let's say I want to take the ACC exam, all right?
Okay.
So based on your briefing just now, so I would just need to take the exam. Do I still need to take the credentialing exam, or is that a different exam?
Yeah, it's a different exam. So in November of last year, we released the ACC exam, and we are transitioning in March. That will then be the only exam available to ACC candidates. So if you apply for an ACC, you will need to take the ACC exam. When you apply for your PCC, you will need to take the credentialing exam.
Okay. Aileen, one more question. I
Sure.
completed my education, my study on the CAC or ACC in
Uh-huh.
November 2023. So am I eligible to take the exam this year?
Yeah, so education, mentor coaching, your experience hours, none of that expires. So for an ICF credential, you can apply for whatever credential you are ready for when you are ready for it. So if you have your 60 hours of education, you have the mentor coaching, and if you did a level 1 or 2 program, then the performance evaluation was included in there. You can, and you have your 100 hours of coaching experience as of the start of that education program, you can apply for your ACC whenever you are ready. And then once you apply for it, we'll review all your information. If everything's in order, then you will receive that email to let you know that you can then schedule and sit for the exam.
Okay, that's all from me. Thank you, Aileen.
You're welcome.
Thank you, CP. Aileen, we've got a couple of questions from the chat. Firstly, from Seema Govin. Is the exam for the ACC and ACTH? Just to clarify, Seema, is it the same exam?
Okay, so for the ACC and I'm not sure what the ACTH is, that might be the pathway that you were talking about. So if you apply for the ACC through any one of the application pathways, you will sit for the exact same exam, and everyone is awarded the exact same credential.
Does that answer your question, Seema? Good.
Looks like it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question from Katerina. What would be the very first step for the ACC? What would you recommend?
So if you are talking about applying for the ACC itself, then the very first step is you need to get coach education. So everything stems from that point forward. So once you have coach education, you need 60 hours for the ACC level, and then you can start coaching. Once you start coaching after your own clients, after your education has started, you can count those hours towards the 100 hours needed for the ACC level. And once you're coaching, then you can also start your mentor coaching, which may, depending on what program you go through, may be included in your program. But a mentor coach is going to really be looking at with you during your coaching sessions and looking for the core competencies. Are they seen in your coaching? Are there opportunities where you could implement some other skill from the core competencies or make that stronger, things to that effect. And then a performance evaluation, again, might be done in your program or part of your application to ICF, if it wasn't included in your program. And in the performance evaluation, that's going to be a snapshot. You're going to submit a coaching session of yours with an actual client, and it will be reviewed by an assessor to ensure that you're coaching to the level to which you are wanting to apply to. And then once those requirements are all met, you can submit your application to ICF. And then again, once that's been reviewed, if everything's in order, you can then sit for the exam. So the first step for any credential is to ensure that you have the education requirements that's going to be needed for the level to which you want to apply. Okay. So I see another question in here. Do the coaching hours spent with a client during the coaching course education count towards the 100 hours for the ACC? So for that question, The answer is yes, as long as it's with one of your own clients. So it's part of your education. There's often going to be coaching that's organized and structured by the program itself in order to focus on a particular skill, to have conversations about a particular skill. Those coaching sessions done within the program itself do not count. But any coaching that you do outside of your education with your own clients does count towards the 100 hours.
Okay. Hope that answers your question, Jocelyn.
Okay. So can a client be an internal customer in the same organization? So if you are a coach and you've been hired by an organization and part of your skills or responsibilities in that organization is to provide coaching to other employees, then yes, those can count, and those would count towards the, would be count as paid because somebody's paying you to provide coaching. If you are just meeting with your co-workers and are offering them coaching, but that's not part of your actual job, if that individual is not paying you directly for the coaching, then those would not be considered paid hours because it's not part of your responsibilities and the individual hasn't paid for you to do that. So just be clear about what, how you're offering it, and is it part of your job responsibilities or not. If it is part of your job responsibilities, then those can count as paid hours.
We've got a hand raised. I think we've got a question from Kalavati.
Yeah.
Please do.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. I just wanted to find out if you apply. So I actually have my ACC already, and someone told me that perhaps we have to resit our exam. But anyway, I just wanted to find out if I had requested for an accommodation, and if I have to resit for my recertification or even PCC, I would have to apply for my accommodation again. Would that be right?
So if your accommodation, if you have an exam accommodation and it was granted for a credential, and if you don't want to make any changes to that accommodation, so you need the same accommodation, you will need to let us know that you had a prior accommodation, but it will then just kind of be granted onto the new exam for you.
So this would be 2 years on as well?
Yeah, that should still be in our records that if the accommodation was granted, then that will be on your record and we will see that, but we will need but that will be in your ACC record, and we will need you to let us know that that accommodation was there, and we will then move that over to your PCC. And you did raise kind of a good point. You had asked about mentioned maybe having to sit for the exam for a recertification. Keep in mind, the exam is only for credentials, for when you apply for a new credential. It is not part of the recertification process. So if you're going to renew your ACC, you don't have to sit for it. Your next exam would be with your PCC.
PCC, okay. And if I can give you some feedback when I applied for my accommodation. Actually, I really had a tough time. It kind of went in, I mean, support was very good. But this is why I asked the question, because it took me a long time to get my accommodation sorted out. But this was about a year ago. And also, unfortunately, I finally got my accommodation sorted out and planned my exam date. And my mother passed away that week.
Oh.
So I just as feedback, I think it was person view. When I wrote in to say I can't do the date, the person actually responded and said, okay. I said my mom had passed away. And the person said, okay, fine. Do it as soon as you can. And I don't know, automatically I came 1 week after my mom passed away, I came back and did my exam. And 1 year later, I'm thinking, how the hell did I do that? But
yeah, I'm sorry you had that experience. We do work with that that third vendor, but you do raise something I do want to share is while the authorization that is given for an exam is for a 60-day window, it's kind of an automated thing. If you are not able to take it within that 60 days, don't worry. When you next have kind of an opening, reach out to us again and we will reissue that authorization for another 60 days.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry that you felt pressured to have to take the exam, but I'm glad you shared that because that lets me bring up that point for this group.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I mean, maybe it was the best thing. Who knows? Never know. Thank you.
Yeah.
And my mom was 89, so yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, thank you, Karavati. We go back to questions from the chat box. Follow-up question from Seema. Where can we find more sample questions or mock exam per se?
Okay.
We need more
So
than 8
ICF
questions, Aileen.
So we don't yet have a mock exam that's issued by, or done by ICF. It's something that we are working towards. And so we hope that will be available in the near future. But if it's coming from ICF, we want it to be really, really sound. And one of the ways that we're doing that is, as you saw on one of those slides, that big circle, that circle continues. So as soon as an exam is issued, we basically start again to ensure that we have kind of a bank of really good questions so we can rotate questions in and out of the exam. So it's always fresh and it's keeping current, and it allows us to then take questions off of the exam that can be used for things like a mock exam or an exam prep. So we are working towards that. But in the meantime, we do have those sample questions, and those sample questions can be found on the individual exam pages. So if you go to the ACTC page for the exam, the sample questions will be there. On the ACC exam page, it's on there. For the credentialing exam, there's kind of right now a landing page. And then if you go to the content page for the credentialing exam, you will then find the sample questions there. The sample questions are also in the tutorial that's on the Pearson VUE site. So on the website, on our site, you will be able to find the sample questions with the answers kind of like right there. If you want to experience the sample questions without the answer being kind of like right there in front of you, you can go through the Pearson VUE tutorial and you'll see the questions and you'll answer them, note what your answers were, and then you can go back to our website and see if you had answered them correctly or not. And those links, the direct links, will be in that PDF that will be available to you shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
next question from Vikram. There are some clients who prefer to keep their coaching sessions confidential. How do we record the 100 hours? And do we need to showcase a proof of it via recordings or something?
Yeah. So for the 100 hours, what you can keep in mind is that you're going to keep a coaching log yourself. That is for you. It's not going to be shared with ICF. We're never going to receive any of your individual clients' personal information. But you do want to keep a log that's going to let you know when you hit that 100 hours, that you have the 8 clients, that you have the amount that needs to be paid. And in your application, you will attest to all of that. And it is a legal attestation that, yes, I have the 100 hours. Yes, 75 were paid. Yes, it was 8 clients. And we do have an audit process, but that is also GDPR compliant. So if you are selected for an audit, you as the coach will reach out to your clients and ask them to verify back to us your coaching of them. So again, no personal information is going to be shared. So you can let your clients know that the reason that you're looking at keeping their information on this coaching log is specifically for the purpose of your credentialing, because I do suggest that you keep your log going because you don't know when you're going to hit the PCC level. A lot of people do have the PCC level in mind, but some people, when they reach the PCC level, don't think the MCC is going to be in their future. So they stop tracking their hours. And then 10 years later, they're like, oh, wow, I could be an MCC. And then they have to try and backtrack and recreate those records. So keep that client log going. You just never know what the future is going to hold for yourself. But the personal identification is not going to be shared. So let your clients know that. If you do have, and we don't ask for any summary of your coaching sessions or what topics we're on, nothing to that effect. You're just going to attest that you have hit the requirements, the 100 hours, 75 paid, 8 clients, and some other things along those lines.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Vikram. Next, I will probably let our friend Noel from Philippines. Probably you can ask the question there, Noel.
Yeah, I'll just ask it live because just to put in some context here. I'm sitting right now as a credentialing head for ICF Philippines, and I do have colleagues who are coaches, but they're not currently members of ICF. Of course, the best advice is to make them members, right? For them to become members. But I think
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not within our control. But just to help them prepare for the credentialing, what would be your best advice? Can they access the resources from ICF?
Yes, so that's what I really like about ICF is that none of this is all kind of tied together. So you don't have to be a member in order to have a credential. You don't have to have a credential in order to be a member. You don't have to go to one of our accredited providers in order to become credentialed. There are pathways in credentialing for as long as you can show that you are meeting the requirements, then we are happy to work with you towards the credential to be able to sit for the exam and obtain it. So membership is not a requirement. So all these resources that we've talked about for the exam are available. The other thing, when you're talking to people about, ICF is to really look at, everything that ICF does. And that's the other thing that when I interviewed way back in 2020, that I liked about ICF is it's an organization that's always looking forward, is looking to move forward. It's not content with just, let's just do membership, let's just do credentialing, let's just do, accreditation, kind of, where those money makers are. It's about supporting the industry, which in turn supports the individual coaches. So it's about the research that we do. It's about, the foundation work that we do. It's, reaching into organizations and how we can support them bringing in more coaches and creating those coaching cultures. So there's a lot that goes into ICF that hopefully gets people excited about being part of this industry and want to be a member, of ICF. And most of our resources are not locked down to members because, again, the focus really is on supporting the industry and supporting individual coaches that, it's tied together. As long as we're supporting both of them, both become stronger, the industry and the individual coaches. So a lot of these resources are available to everyone. So there's no tie-in. They can review the same pages. They can, depending on their education, if they went to something that was not ICF accredited, it's the portfolio pathway that they need to follow. In that pathway, they do need to show, since the organization didn't show us what they were teaching, they will need to do that. So there is more work for them to do. They need to show us, that they had education through those programs in all of the core competencies, how much time was spent to them. So they're hitting the same education requirements as somebody who went through an accredited program. So that's all outlined on our website for them. And if they have questions or want help in, kind of determining what fits best for them, they can reach out to support@coachingfederation.org. And we are happy to have that conversation with them. And I'll say that as well for our support team and our credentialing support team as well, is we know there's a lot of options and a lot of choices in how to move forward. And it can be really confusing when you read it on the website. And so we are happy to work with people. We see this more as a conversation to get you onto the right path. And then kind of once you're on the right path and you understand that, then a lot of the information on the website start to really make sense and it's easier to follow. And even after you submit your application, if there's something that we are questioning or isn't quite right, we're just going to reach out and ask you to clarify, provide more documentation. We'll wait if you have to get more education or more hours. We don't shut it down and make you reapply. So we will partner with you in this journey.
Can I ask a follow-up question? At least two.
Sure.
2 more. So second one is that I heard you saying that 100 hours and then 8 clients. Is the 8 clients a minimum, or is it
It's the minimum. So you have to have
minimum
coached 100 hours with 8 clients
with 8 clients?
or more. Yeah. And you can
And
coach obviously more than 100 hours.
right. And then how do you treat team coaching in the lab?
Yeah. Okay, so if you are wanting to use team coaching for your ACC, PCC, or MCC, that is a little bit different because team coaching can often, an engagement for team coaching can often include other modalities like facilitation or team building. And so if you are wanting to use that, you will need to take a look at your engagement, and you will need to determine, of the 6 hours that I spent with them that day, how much was an actual coaching itself, and then extrapolate that out. And that's what can be counted towards your 100, 500, or 2,500 hours. Client-wise, technically each individual within that team or group would count as a client, but you're probably also coaching elsewhere. So you'll probably meet the 8 clients.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Noel. We've got a couple more questions, Aileen, from the chat. We've got one from Danny Young. Please provide some details for the MCC certification, and another one from Mara with regards to information on the PCC exam preparation.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and do the MCC first, and then we can talk a little bit more about the credentialing exam, since both the PCC and MCC need to sit for that specific one. So for the MCC certification, you do need to hold or have held a PCC in the past. At the ACC and PCC level, you can apply for either one as long as you meet the requirements. You don't have to have an ACC in order to apply for the PCC. However, at the MCC level, you do. So once you have your PCC, you can then turn your attention to the MCC. At the MCC level, we are looking for 200 hours or more of coach-specific education. We are looking for 2,500 hours of coaching experience, of which 2,250 need to be paid hours, and with 35 clients. You will need to have 10 hours of mentor coaching. And in the case of the MCC, that needs to be a fresh round of mentor coaching done with another MCC coach. It cannot be mentor coaching, even if it was with an MCC, that you used for your ACC or your PCC. So it's to be a round of mentor coaching that's really very specifically on working with you and your skills, your coaching skills, to ensure that you're coaching to the MCC level. You will need to submit, regardless of the education that you take at the MCC level, you will need to submit 2 recordings of actual client coaching sessions of yours that will be reviewed by the ICF assessors to ensure that you are coaching to the MCC level. And then once all that is done and all the requirements are met, you would then get your email to sit for the ICF credentialing exam. Even if you pass the credentialing exam for your PCC, you will need to take it again at the MCC. It's part of the requirements. And as for best practices for credentialing bodies, everyone needs to do all of the requirements. So you will need to sit for it again, which brings us to sitting for the PCC or the MCC exam. They both sit for the same exam, the ICF credentialing exam. And that is the one that is a situational judgment exam. And I do have a couple of kind of tips that I've heard from others who have taken the exam that I can share with you. If you remember, that is where you're going to be presented with a scenario, a coaching scenario, and you're going to be offered 4 options. And if you remember from the sample that we looked at, those were all very plausible actions that the coach could take. And in fact, later on in the session or at different points in the session, they may actually take one of those other options or actions that were listed there. But what we're looking for is, at that time in the session, based on the information provided to you in the scenario, what is the best action and the worst action for the coach to do? So I struggle with these situational judgment exams because I'm one that likes to create a backstory to what I'm seeing in the scenario. Well, if this had happened, then this would be the right one. Well, if this had happened, then, you know, maybe it would be this option. So the first tip is to really focus in on what is the scenario telling you, and only based on the information provided to you in that scenario. The other tip that I've heard from individuals is a lot of people struggle with finding the worst option. And so one of the tips I heard from somebody else is that if they were able to identify which core competency drove them to make the best option selection, then using that same competency, that helped them determine then, oh, if I'm using this competency, then this would be the worst action to take. So that's another kind of tip to consider. I hope that helps. The preparation really is about remembering what we are trying to test. And it is how your knowledge and ability to be able to identify the core competencies and apply them in coaching context. So it is harder when you're at the PCC and MCC level because you have a lot of experience. And so again, that experience is very nuanced. It needs to be catered to each client. And so it's a little bit hard when you go to something that's looking to be a little bit more black and white, and for you to make selections and decisions based solely on what you see in the scenario itself. So keeping in mind what it is, that this is an exam, looking for your ability to be able to apply those core competencies. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jean-Francois. Yes, sir. You want to unmute yourself, Jeff?
Yes, if we are running out of questions, I've got a few questions, a little bit outside of our topic, but Aileen is there, so I cannot help myself. We now have core competencies for mentor coaching and coaching supervision. Is that a hint that at some point we're going to get a credential for coaching supervision and or mentor coaching?
Yeah, so that is something that's being looked at, is now that we have the core competencies for mentor coaching and coaching supervision, what does that mean? You know, how can that be used? Should there be something? Should there not be something? So that's something that's kind of under discussion for, you know, is there anything that can be done or should be done with those core competencies? So I don't have anything at this time to kind of be able to say where that's all going, but yes, you're not the only one with that question, and it's one that we're looking at internally as well. And as we know, you know, ICF does do things very deliberately and with a lot of research and whatnot. So it's something that we are looking at and seeing if there's a viable, you know, option for anything that's going to, again, support individual coaches, you know, and the industry, and what that really would, if we decide to do something like that, what that would really need to look like.
I would certainly encourage ICF to consider the credential for coaching supervision, because coaching supervision is so essential. And somehow Europe has been ahead of the US.
Yeah, it is a
ICF to occupy that space the way MCC has occupied it.
Yeah, it's
the no-brainer.
Yeah, there's been a lot more, I think, talk about it. At the US, I think we are starting to see that kind of come on, and that's the other great thing about being, you know, a global organization, and how ICF does approach these is that it is never just you know, North American based. It's always ensuring that there is representation, so that again we're supporting the full industry and the full profession. So yes, good.
Second question, if I may. You just launched a global, really significant research about the core competencies. It takes an hour to answer your questionnaire.
Yes.
Should we understand that out of that, in the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to get a new set of core competencies? Because it changed not that long ago from the 11 to
right.
So I was surprised to see so early such an exercise.
So that's actually us coming into best practices. So things like it's part of the kind of the job analysis, job task analysis of, you know, what do coaches do? And then from that, we kind of determine, you know, what are those core competencies? And that's something that should actually be taken on every 5 to 7 years. because it is a long process, but it also, especially when we're looking at a profession that is growing and changing, coaching is still, when you look at a lot of, like lawyers and doctors, right? They've been around for a long, long time. That profession's been there. Coaching is still relatively young. And so as things are changing, we need to make sure that we're staying abreast of what do coaches need to be doing, what are coaches doing, and what do we need to be recognizing. And so that's the purpose of that very long, and I understand pretty tedious, but it is very important and probably repetitive to make sure that we're, you're answering the same thing the same way, different times. But it's really important. So if you guys have received that, or when you see that link coming forward, it's really important as coaches, if you could participate in that, having that set of data from actual coaches and what you guys are doing is what really is how you contribute to the research into the industry. So it is pretty intense, as I understand it, and it sounds like you can verify that, but it's really important for you to be able to participate in that. So please take the time when that link comes your way.
And share it with as many coaches that you know around you.
Absolutely.
So,
and we are not looking
responses as possible.
Exactly. That's a very good point. We are not looking for ICF coaches. We are looking for coaches. We are looking for the coaching profession. So when that link comes across for you, go ahead and share that out on your LinkedIn, share that to your other coaching contacts, whatever you need to do to get that out there, because what we're looking for is not what do ICF coaches do, whether they're membered or credentialed. It's what do coaches do. This is an industry research. Thank you for that point.
Third question, if I may.
Sure.
ICF credentials coaching and team coaching, but it says very little about group coaching somewhere in between the two. I've always been puzzled as to why ICF says so little about group coaching, which is so powerful and yet so different from team coaching.
Yeah. There are those subtle differences between the two, and that might be another area that we can kind of look at. And is that a place that needs to kind of have a specialized focus? It's not something that we have, done yet, but I have heard others kind of mention that as well. And certainly we have team coaches that want to clarify, what is team coaching versus group coaching, or really kind of vice versa. And so there is a difference between it. And we would need to do the research to find out what are those differences. How are they still kind of based on the core competencies? Would there need to be a set of competencies specific for group coaching? But that is another potential area for research for us to look into. Giving us work. Thanks.
Thank you for your answers.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Aileen. We've got a couple more questions. We'll take first from CP. Is the ACC exam being done with closed or open book?
This is a proctored exam, so it is closed book. So our old one prior to August of 2022, it was intended to be closed book, but since nobody was really there watching individuals take it, and it wasn't really clearly stated that the expectation was to be a closed book. That was one of the things that was going on with that older exam, but no, it is closed book. No notes, nothing to that effect. You need to come in and show us that you have this knowledge, and at the ICF credentialing, the ability to be able to apply that knowledge into coaching context.
Okay, thank you. So it's closed book. All right. Last question before we take a pause from Coach McKay Quadra from ICF Philippines.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Hi. Yeah, I'm just curious. After we've sat for the ACC exam, do you return the exam forms, and so that we can see our mistakes and maybe learn from it, whether we pass or... Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
We do not. So again, as part of the security of the exam, right, is that we are we need those to be kept secure and not shared out. However, if you are not successful in passing, you will receive kind of a score report, and it will give you a general feel for kind of in those domain areas, where you may have been strong and where you may have been weak. The thing to keep in mind with that score report, though, is be very conscious of yourself of, okay, do I feel that I was maybe weak in one area, and I, like if you made guesses on things, then that could, kind of influence how that score report kind of comes out. So keep that in mind. But that can give you kind of a general feel of where you might, if you were answering those questions truly to your best of the ability and you felt that you were understanding, what the questions were and things like that, that will give you a good indication as to where you might want to focus some attention before you retake the exam. Good.
Thank
Hey,
you.
thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Aileen, for addressing the questions. We have a special guest today who has recently and successfully gone through the ACC exam. So we've got Lina Jaini, who will be sharing with all of us, especially the ones who are going towards the ACC exam, on her experience and how she prepares for the exam, and maybe some tips that she can share with all of us. So please welcome Coach Lina.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Aileen, thank you so much, ICF Malaysia, for this airtime. I just recently, as Coach Jai mentioned, I just recently been accredited with ACC through the new ACC exam format. And this experience was enriching, humbling, and rewarding at the same time, simply because when I do the preparation, I actually engage with a mentor coach. So during that, session that I had with him, together with three of other coaches, we were being exposed to the situational question format. So it's a bit intimidating, really, Aileen, because I've been going through the exam question for a few times, and every time I did it, I didn't manage to get the right answer. So so that was happening in October, and in November I applied for the exam slot, and I was informed that I have the opportunity to try the ACC new format. So I just grabbed the opportunity once I see the format is much more manageable for me. And I think the challenges throughout this journey would be on even though I know that I have education and also coaching hours to sit for this exam, in my mind, and I also not a good exam taker, in my mind, the process of internalizing the core competencies, code of ethics, and also definition of coaching must be done repetitively, simply because I think if I internalize it, whatever question comes to me, I can answer it at least. I be able to synthesize and answer those questions. And most importantly, I guess this is also resonate with the core competencies number 2, which is embodies a coaching mindset. So one of the recommendation for those who wants to take this new format ACC exam, I think Aileen has already shared with you what you can do. And after all you've done that, maybe on the day itself, you want to have some sort of self-affirmation going into the room and say that you will pass this exam. That's what I did. It gave me some boost in, answering those questions. And yeah, that's all, Coach Jai. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach Lina. We'll probably open 1 or 2 questions to Coach Lina if anybody has. You can get in touch with Coach Lina through LinkedIn or through our ICF Malaysia portal as well. Okay, it's 9:40. We'll probably take, there's one question there from Jin. Thanks, Coach Lina, for sharing. So one more question, Aileen, from the chat with regard to the mentor coach part, which you will need to complete 10 hours of mentor coaching sessions within the 3 months before you take the exam.
So yes, and I was getting ready to type this up, that's probably easier to talk it through. So yes, if you are not taking a level 1 or a level 2 or a level 3 ICF accredited program, or if you didn't take an ACTB program from the past, those ICF accredited programs include the mentor coaching as part of their education. But if you don't take that one of those for the level 2 which you are applying, then you will need to get mentor coaching on your own. The mentor coach just needs to be an ICF credentialed coach at or above the level to which you are applying or renewing. It can also work for renewals. And at the ACC level, you are required to renew within another 10 hours of mentor coaching. If you are using an ACC mentor, they do need to have renewed their ACC at least once before they can offer mentoring to others. But PCC and MCC mentors, individuals can mentor others. In addition, it does need to be over 3 months or longer. So this is a requirement that I really encourage individuals to take advantage of. So if you are on a credential path that's going to require you to get mentor coaching outside of your education program, make it work for you. It has to be 3 months or longer. So it doesn't have to be right at 3 months. If you are on a journey with your needing to get your experience hours, then make it work for you. So have a mentor coaching session, get the feedback, bring that back, start to implement it into your coaching, and then weeks or months later, come back for your next session, get another boost of feedback, integrate it, and again, keep that cycle going. So you can really take advantage of that. It doesn't expire. So if you are looking at this for your renewal, or if you're looking at going from your ACC to the PCC and you're going to need mentor coaching, use it throughout your journey of getting those additional hours of education or experience hours that you need for the next level. I think it will really give you a boost for your coaching if you can implement that feedback as you get it, and then don't have to feel rushed to get to another session. In addition, it helps to spread out the cost of a mentor coaching session, because those are going to have typically a fee attached to them. So that helps to spread that cost out over time versus within a condensed period of time. With the mentor coaching, you do also have the option of those 10 hours. 7 of them can be in group. So there are programs out there or mentors who will offer group mentor coaching, and those are multiple people who will get together, and the mentor will lead them through kind of identifying core competencies in different coaching sessions that hopefully you will take those skills and apply it to your own coaching. So you can identify within yourself your own core competencies that need to either be strengthened or opportunities that you had to implement them that perhaps you didn't in that particular session. 3 of the 10 must be one-on-one, where you work directly with the mentor to get feedback specifically on your coaching sessions. So I do see another question here about needing to submit a recording for the ACC. Again, if you do not take a level 1 or a level 2 program, which is the previous ACTP program, those programs include the performance evaluation, the recorded session. So if you don't take one of those and are going to be applying the ACSTH path or the portfolio path, then you will need to submit a recording with your ACC credential.
All right, thank you for the questions, and thank you, Aileen, for a wonderful session. Please stay on, ladies and gentlemen. So for the next part and moving forward, please do get connected with Aileen through email, and you can also visit the Coaching Federation website and get connected through LinkedIn as well. Thank you again very much. Next, with regards to announcements, we have two people making announcements today on behalf of ICF Malaysia. First foremost, I would like to call upon Vikram Anand, our ICF Malaysia membership ambassador, for a few announcements.
Hey, thank you, Coach Zai. Good to virtually see you. Thanks, Aileen, for your insights. It was really insightful and beneficial personally for me. Hi, everyone. Good evening and a warm welcome. Some very known faces, definitely from the Malaysia coaching fraternity. Some unknown faces. To some of them, I'm based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and pretty much relatively new to my coaching journey. So I'm still learning. And thanks, Lena, for your insights as well, because it's beneficial to know that you need to have a self-affirmation as a coach, even when you give a test. What am I going to cover? So I'm going to very quickly cover to join the ICF Malaysia, a global community by coaches and for the coaches. So if you can go on to the next slide. So there are a few slides, but I've been given very short time to cover a lot of slides. So I'm not going to read through the slides. The information is very much there. I'm just going to kind of highlight some of the bullet points of why it is so beneficial for some of you who are not yet part of the ICF Malaysia community, which also makes you kind of become part of the ICF global community together with it. So first and foremost is definitely joining from a community and networking perspective. So we are part of world's largest coaching network of 50,000 plus members worldwide across 90 countries. And then you get to connect with the coaches worldwide, join local and global events, and also engage in mentorship and volunteering opportunities, along with some of the other highlights which I mentioned. So number one is community and networking. The next slide, please. The next one is your professional development. So you get to gain access to live and on-demand training. You earn a continuing coach education CCE units and enhance your skills with peer coaching, access to business development tools and templates. So there is a lot of opportunity for you, whether you are a coach who's into your new journey like myself, or whether you are aspiring to become a coach from a pure professional development perspective. There is a huge opportunity for you to enhance yourself through the peer coaching program and various access to resources which are already very much available there. Next slide, please. The next one is career growth and visibility. So you get listed, you get a free listing on the ICF Credentiated Coach Finder directory to connect with potential clients. There are people out there who go onto the website. They are looking whether it's a career coach, whether it's a lifestyle coach, whether it's a leadership coach. So you can highlight your own profile in a particular way to the kind of clients you want to cater to. And they can go out there, they can look at your profile, and you can do a free listing out there. So along with that, you also get exclusive discounts on credentialing and services, and even create a free customizable website. So again, that's another absolutely great benefit in terms of your own career growth and visibility. The next slide, please. The other one is credibility and earning potential. So ICF Credentials, we all know that. I can say I've been, like Aileen rightly said, some point in time back in her session, that you can be coaching informally for many, many years, whether it is in our organization or as we grow up to become leaders. But that at the end of the day, the ICF credential, that I'm an ICF certified coach, does boost your credibility in the market, with the members earning up to 30% more than the non-members. Clients also prefer working with certified coaches. So it does give you that little bit of added advantage and credibility into the market. So there is absolutely a lot of benefit in terms of your earning potential and growing as a coach in your journey. The next slide, please. The next one is cutting edge research and insights. You get access to the ICF research portal with over 3,000 studies on various kind of coaching trends, effectiveness, and emerging technologies like AI, which is the buzzword at this point in time. And a lot of them, the recent one where a lot of us coaches in the Malaysian coaching fraternity met, we were all literally discussing with each other, what is AI going to play a role from a coaching perspective? So it is not only what we are discussing in a peer-to-peer coaching, but it is also, there are various studies which are very much available right there onto the website once you become a member. So there is a benefit to read all of this and gain insights. The next one. The other one is leadership and volunteering. You get opportunity to step into leadership roles, contribute to meaningful initiatives like the Ignite program, which we have, participate in ICF governance, such as voting in board elections or serving in the committees. There are various committees you can serve to. You can eventually become the president. You can also be part of some of the subcommittees which are running. And what happens because of these engagement activities is you tend to learn more through the other coaches, through the other people within the fraternity, and obviously you build your network, you build your brand, you build your credentials. So it also enhances your own leadership potential within the coaching community by simply volunteering. The next slide, please. There is an opportunity to go in terms of the ethical standards. I think that slide was missed. And then there is we are going back and forth on the slide. So we'll stick to the ethical standards and support. So there is comprehensive ethics resources, including guidelines and case discussions to ensure adherence to professional standards. Now, all of us understand coaching. We are certified coaches or are going to be on that path of becoming a certified coach, but it is very, very important and crucial and essential for us to maintain the ethical standards which are globally defined by the ICF Coaching Federation. So it is extremely important and relevant for us, and it is important to understand these. The next slide, please. So in addition to all of this, there are also additional benefits of joining ICF Malaysia community, which is the Coach Connect Buddy program for 3 months. You get to a variety of engaging events. We recently had an event which was amazing. It was a face-to-face event. There are also virtual events which are like today. We have the monthly copy chat. Copy is nothing but for Aileen and for the others. Kopi is coffee in a very simplistic Malaysian terminology used. So Kopi chat sessions for casual connections. Quarterly, there is a members get together to foster deeper engagement. Like I said, we had a recent one, which was a grand success. Yearly, there is an opportunity to celebrate and connect, a grand gathering for reflection and celebration. And biennial is International Coaching Summit, which happens. And not to forget the International Coaching Week too, and many other opportunities to expand your network and skills. And we have very, very recently launched the Coach Connect Buddy program, where any new members will be guided and supported by the seasoned ICF Malaysia members for up to 3 months. I had a buddy when I joined ICF Malaysia, and he's been a great buddy. He's my buddy today also. So don't miss out on this valuable opportunity to learn, to grow, and to connect. And you can connect through the website. You get opportunities to network with your peers. And for those who are residing in Malaysia, you'll receive an email invitation later after this session ends. I think that's pretty much it from my side. If you are keen to become an ICF member and you are still thinking, I would highly recommend you not to think much. Do come and join this community. It is an amazing one. And there are some great people I have met in a very short span of time, and I'm sure you will meet. You can reach out to Phoebe, who is the membership director, or you can reach out to the fantastic Nick, who's our virtual assistant, and they will be more than happy to guide you through and help you on the membership. That's it pretty much from me. Thank you, Coach Zai. You're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much, Vikram, our membership ambassador. So with him, we hope to get more and more and more members coming on board to ICF Malaysia and ICF as well. Thank you very much, Vikram. For your sharing next, we'd like to call Yuan Ling, our ICF Malaysia treasurer, for some announcement on our upcoming events. Yuan
Thank
Ling?
you, Rai. Yeah. Riding on Vikram, high energy and excitement, I'm going to announce the activities and event for the next 2 months. The first, next slide. Next, yeah, it's called Copy Chat. Again, Copy Chat, copy means coffee for Aileen. This is an event that we organize as a casual networking so that we can exchange views, sharing with ICF Malaysia Exco members and other aspiring coaches. So if you are really curious about coaching and ICF Malaysia, our Exco and other coaches will be happy to share with you. So come mingle and spark new collaboration. Just an important note, BYOD means buy your own drink. All right, come join us. The person in charge is Corinne Wu, the very president of ICF Malaysia. Next. Yeah, we have our Coachpreneur 2025. This is an event to empower, equip, and upskill ICFM coaches to be an entrepreneur. Ignite your entrepreneurship and turn your skills into sustainable revenue. This year, with a series of online sessions throughout the year, online session will be organized once every 2 months, starting with March 2025. That's next month, creating a strong core for your coaching practice. We will provide information very soon, so watch the space. Person in charge is Jeff Chia and TV Hall. Next one. Okay, our MCC Live is coming April 2nd. Our first speaker for the year is Victor Loh, ICF MCC. The topic is fostering agency in organization. So please save the date and join us to listen to Victor Loh. Thank you. Next, Gil. Okay, this is the upcoming MGT members get together. It will be member get together Raya celebration, which is happening, which is happening in second week of April. So stay tuned for more details. So to all our ICF Malaysia member, if you have enjoyed the many vibrant and beneficial events organized by us, come and be part of the people who make things happen. We are looking for volunteers to join our event committees and various teams. So please scan to volunteer or reach out to Jai at vicepresident@icfmalaysia.org. Volunteer your service and enjoy the vibrancy of the community. Thank you. Jai, back to you.
Thank you, Yuan Ling. Taking on Yuan Ling's point, we always welcome volunteer members to volunteer for our respective subcommittees as well as event committees. So thank you very much, Yuan Ling, for the announcements. So last but not least, the very important part of today's session is, of course, the photo session. So please switch on your cameras so that we can take photos of our sessions today. We have participants and guests from 16 countries, including the United States. We have from Vietnam, Australia, Russia, Switzerland, Belgium, United Arab Emirates, the UK, Sri Lanka, India, Greece, Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Philippines, and of course, Malaysia. And at the same time, we would like your feedback with regards to our session today. We have posted the feedback form. It's a Google form. The link is in the chat, and we will also show it on the slide after we take the photo. So ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind to switch on your cameras for our customary and compulsory photo session. So, okay. Yes, they're taking the photos. Okay, please hold your smile. We've got a couple of pages.
Okay. Everyone, please keep your smile on. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Keep smiling. 1, 2, 3. One more. Awesome. Thank you. Back to you, Jay.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So we're putting up the feedback form for you to provide us some feedback. Again, thank you very much for everyone who has been with us today. We hope that this session has been very informative. Thank you very much, Aileen, for joining us all the way from the US early in the morning. Thank you to also Coach Lina for her sharing, and also to our Zoom manager, Keel, and also our EXCO members. Thank you very much for your participation and questions today, and we hope to be able to meet you again soon. Thank you very much, and have a good night. Bye-bye. Round of applause for Aileen.
Thank you.